Homies, come on, sit down and join me. I'm so passionate right now. I am so pumped. There's just no other words to describe it. I tell you guys all the time, and I mentioned it last time, I had the idea that there was a potential eureka moment coming on, that I had this new idea of changing the program altogether, not just for the sake of changing it, because who cares? Let's just change whatever the hell we want for no reason. Every change I make has a purpose. But one of the best feelings you can have in Olympic weightlifting, any weightlifting, when you program everything yourself, is when you put in as much effort as you can in every program that you do, and you hit that peak, and one small epiphany, one small eureka moment of understanding what you want the next change to be, branches off and domino affects your entire program, leading to everything changing. And it's not just that everything has to change because one thing changed. Everything is changing because every single change seemed like the best potential next step forward. And that is the peak of what gets you excited to lift. I tell you guys all the time, there is never going to be a doubt in my mind. I will die on this hill. This is the mindset I will back forever, that any random person who is the most passionate about whatever program they chose to do, whether if they have no idea if it's going to work or not, will do better than the person who is randomly chosen to do the best program ever made, quote unquote, by the best lifter of all time, but they have to do it obligationally and they're told to do whatever someone else wants them to do. If you give enough of a shit about anything that you have put your heart and soul into, you will do it to 110%. This is one of the hardest programs I've ever written in my entire livelihood of lifting. It's been 8 years. Because even though I didn't commit or try as hard as I could have in the first 4 years where I was fucking around in high school, out of all these years of giving it my best, pushing it to the absolute limit, I have never felt more confident doing something so difficult. Because I've finally prepped myself for this point. And no, this is not the end all. I tell you guys all the time, no one program that you come up with is ever going to be the perfect program. You adhere to your current physical capabilities, especially mental, whatever gets you the most amped up to do it, while also being confident every single time you pick up that barbell. Not just hoping you're confident after you get there, knowing that you have the best potential possible to hit that weight. Because I got over all my injuries finally. I hit my progressive overload peaking program based off of just strict warm-ups and a solid max out on all my lifts. And right when I hit the plateau in those lifts and I got these new ideas, I was like, I got to make a change, because I know that the fact that my brain instantly lit up, that serotonin instantly got injected into my fucking bloodstream, I knew that was the most perfect moment to accept change into my lifting lifestyle. I did mention last time that I was looking into potentially some more bodybuilding accessory type stuff. I'm not there yet, because I changed so much in the program and how I do it that I don't want to change so much and add so much to where I'm overwhelmed. Because I think that the program I wrote right now, this is the difference. I know that this program is going to give me the most potential I've ever had in this entire lifetime of lifting I've ever achieved, And so the majority of this is going to be me explaining how the program's going to work from now on. This is the Becoming Comp Ready program. This is what I came up with the idea of peaking the snatch and clean and jerk while also maintaining and growing in the back squat and bench press, because I care about those lifts not just as much, but enough to keep strength training them. It's got me so fucking excited, because I'm telling you, you will know when you've hit that moment of, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to commit to, because your body is going to be so happy every step of the way. This is the most effort I put in a while. Not just strength-wise, but just the effort required, the energy, the passion, the consistency, and the commitment necessary to actually complete this kind of a day. It's hard as shit to do a workout as hard as I did today compared to what I've been used to doing. So let's just get into the explanation, because I'm not going to rattle on and rant for 15 minutes about why I'm so excited. I want to explain what's going on. And I'm going to explain it just in the terms that I've come up with as I go, because a lot of this is feeling it out as I go and understanding what works best with my body in the moment. Because everybody's going to look at this and say, this isn't efficient. This might not work long term. everybody always calls me out on benching on an Olympic program. I don't care. I'm going to do it the way that makes me feel best and gets me the most passionate. So here's how it's going to run. It is not an equal back and forth of 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, where I peak snatch on one half and then try to do back squat and bench press with Olympic accessories on one half and then clean and jerk flop on the other half. This is purely centered around building up my conditioning, my core strength, my technique, the effort behind the reps and the consistency in those reps so that I can peak mainly in snatch and clean and jerk, but also hit a pretty good peak in bench press and back squat. You know, this is getting me comp ready and hopefully going to be a program that gets me consistently peaked long term. You know, this program is never going to last forever. I know that. But if it lasts for a decent long time, this is something that has me confident that I can utilize this or at least build off of it for a very long while. So today is snatch complex, overhead squat volume, and then back squat complex. And so the idea is these first 3 days on, because I'm still doing 3 days on for this first half, is all based on technique, consistency, volume, reps, whatever you got to call it, core conditioning, confidence, the stuff that peaks your all-around strength to where when you do the full lift with no complexes or pauses, variations, whatever, you can just rip it as hard as you want and have no pain, no lack of hesitation. So this is the hard stuff. This is the stuff that you have to actually really grit for. The snatch complex today, it's volume week. This is the highest volume I'll do. So I did you stand at the hips, and I did a back down from below the knee to the knee, and then a hang snatch above the knee as best I could. Sometimes it's hard for me to get exactly right above the knee, but just whatever felt higher. You know, it's that effort that really matters when it comes to it. And here's the idea. Instead of having strict warm-ups where if I hit, let's say 205, I'm like, okay, instantly jump to 225, no thoughts, I earned that attempt. I'm not peaking that way right now. This is conditioning. So the moment I have to start gritting through the lift, actually having to try, because you'll know what I mean. Like, especially on, if you're back squatting, you know the difference of a set where you can bomb out every rep and feel nothing versus a set where you have to actually lock your hips into place, really squeeze that core and grind through it. So for me, 205 was the first rep on the snatch complex that I felt it take over. I had to start really whipping underneath it and getting that solid lockout. It may have looked perfect and easy on screen, but physically, I know what I felt in that moment. And the biggest thing is the moment you have to question your ability to jump the next warm-up, that's where you stop. And so for me, for the conditioning of the reps and the technique long-term, I give myself 3 additions after that weight that I have to start gritting for. So after 205, I did 215, 225, then 235 at my top set. I give myself the availability of 3 additional working sets, 10-pound jumps only, so that I can actually lock in the consistency that I'm talking about. This isn't just a percentage-based program anymore. It's not just a peaking strength program. I want to feel confident at every weight I do, and that means hitting several working sets with slight variations of intensity, So the moment I have to start really gritting through it, I say this is where I got to make that effort count so that next time I can make the jump to 225. So now I peak at 235, went beautifully, had confidence every single rep, and normally I'm jumping too heavy at those heavier percentages, and it becomes more of a question of if I can actually do it or not. I felt confident every single time I threw it, and even though I'm sure I could have done 245, I capped myself at 3 additional working sets just to make sure I don't overdo the volume, because you have to remember, today I'm doing 2 other lifts. Next, overhead squat. This is all volume. I don't want to do technique, complex variation work on overhead squat or front squat. Those are purely to accessorize the snatch and clean and jerk already. So creating an accessory of an accessory is a bit too much. So they're just going to remain volume lifts that I hit really, really consistently and confidently when it comes to the technique. I'm not going too heavy on those anymore because I don't want to overdo it long term. If I have the effort to, sure, I'll go as heavy as my body will let me. But we have to be confident every single time. And so you may think okay, I'm going back to my 6-4-2 split when it comes to the power lifts because I'm doing more conditioning now. I'm not doing a peaking program where I'm doing 5-3-1. So sets of 6 this week, you've seen what I've done. I've done 325 on overhead squat really well. You're like, okay, well, surely you can do 275 easy on a set of 6. But that's not what we're doing. We're not trying to hit a certain number anymore. We're throwing away the standard and giving in to the ambiguity of your lifts so that you don't know what to expect. That's the biggest thing that tanks progress, expecting a weight to move when you are not ready for it. Because there should be no expectation on what you lift. It should just be give it your best and lift the best way you can lift with the best technique, consistency, confidence, passion, with no pain. That's it, especially for a peaking program when you're trying to get comp ready. So the moment I hit 225, I warm up going one plate, 185, 225. The next jump would be 255. But the moment I did 225, because I did snatch complex first, I felt my low back start getting tired. I start feeling the grind a little bit. And I'm like, okay, well, the fact that I even have to question it, I have to give into that. Today we're learning. Today we're embracing the new style of lifting and working with what I want to give into so that I can grow off of it later on. I don't want to put on too much on the first day. So after 225, I say I got 3 more working sets. Let's make these confident so that the next time I work up to this kind of lift, I can go straight to 255, no question. Do 235, 245, 255, and every single set went wonderfully. And the best thing is that every set got harder, sure. Every set I had to lock in even more and actually give it my all, absolutely. But I felt just as physically apt by that last set, although I had to grind just as hard as I would as a peaking program typically. That's what I want. I want to put in that same intensity without the physical risk of injury or over fatigue when it comes to hitting the weights that I actually want to go heavy on, you know? Because I'm not peaking today. I'm moving up to a peak in the second half of the week. And then lastly, back squat. That's a new one. I have not had a back squat or bench press on a snatch or clean and jerk focus day in almost 4 years. That's what I did in high school, which kind of goes to show that your coaches are typically right. But again, you got to go through things at your own pace, at your own passions that get you moving the best. So I just got to it at my own pace. Even if my coach was right 4 years ago, this works for me now. It may not have worked for me before, or I may not have been passionate about it before, but we're here now. And because I have so little room to add back squat and bench press into the program because of how it's revolved around a peaking Olympic lifting program, I have to give in to having them be accessorizing lifts at the end of Olympic days, you know? So instead of peaking my snatch and clean and jerk on these certain days with overhead squat and front squat, I do a complex with the volume from this overhead squat or front squat, and then I accessorize the snatch and clean and jerk work with back squat and bench press. So today, back squat translates the best over to snatch work, not clean and jerk work, because clean and jerk is based off of balance off your front. It's a lot more quad dominant, a lot more delt dominant. Back squat translates way better to the positioning where a snatch is caught right over your spine. So today, so I don't go too hard on the conditioning, it's not a back squat conditioning volume day like the overhead squat was. It's a back squat complex movement day. Like I said it before, I wanted to add more complexes and variations to my back squat and bench presses to get more core conditioning and get more apt in certain limiting parts of the lifts that I typically am not that great at. And this was a perfect opportunity. I actually got too excited. I don't know if you've seen it by now, but on the bar warm-up, I didn't even do the complex movement. I was just so amped. I was just doing sets of 6. And I was like, shit, I got to slow down and remind myself what I'm supposed to be doing. And so to make up for the volume, you cannot do the same kind of complex as you would on a back squat or bench press variation versus Olympic lifting. Olympic lifting has the first, second, and third pulls, and then the catch. And then on clean and jerk, you have the split jerk as well. So you can change 5 to 7 different parts of those movements, whether it's a tempo, a pause, a back down, you know, a power, a pause in the catch. Everything can change in those lifts. So I can add volume within one attempt like I did on the snatch complex today, because I did so many back downs that it did the work of a volume type week. Back squat and bench press are not that way, at least not for me. If I was doing like a slowest tempo, pause at 90, pause at ass to grass, back down from 90 degrees, pause at ass to grass, it's just too much for one simple lift where I'm trying to get better at the reps and the conditioning long term when it comes to those power lifts. Because my biggest issue right now with back squat and bench press is stability at heavyweight. So I want to build up my reps and my all around consistency at those reps and those percentages. So today, like with the snatches and clean and jerks, I just come up with whatever gets me passionate, So keeping it simple, I'm doing a 90-degree back down squat. So it's basically just, you'll see it, you do a full ass to grass squat. The moment you come up into 90 degrees, you back down to ass to grass and then full squat. That's 1 rep. So to make up for the volume of this volume week, I'm not going to do sets of 6 for fucking back down squats. That's too much. That is way too much volume for what at least I get passionate for and what gets me working the best. So I'm doing a 3-2-1 split when it comes to the power complex movements, So on whatever variations I do for back squat and bench press for the next couple weeks, I'll do 3 reps this week, 2 reps next week, and then singles on the last week. Just to keep it consistent with the percentages I'm doing on the actual movements for that week, because I want them to correlate pretty closely. Not exactly the same. I don't want to peak the exact same as I would on a technique day as I would on an actual max normal repping day, no complexes included. But I still want to have that baseline so that I can confidently move into the heavyweight the next time I squat. Everything went beautifully. I didn't even expect to go heavier than 365 on squat today, and absolutely killed 375. I was actually getting hyped up by one of the homies. He unfortunately got broken up with, and I was like, look, man, I'm going to be so real. I don't even have advice for you right now. I don't know your situation. I don't know what's going on. What I can do for you is I'm going to get hype as hell for this lift, and I'm going to need you to match me, because the fact that you showed up here today means that you want to give it that effort. And like I said, just getting rid of the standard, accepting mystery in the program, accepting that ambiguity of zero expectation, just doing the absolute best that I can for the parameters, principles, and prerequisites I've set up, makes it to where I can do this to the highest extent possible without going too heavy, staying risk-free of injury, and maximizing my core and technique. And so even though I ended on squat and got to the extra third working set of 375 that I didn't even expect myself to hit, which, by the way, crushed, I did snatch complex, overhead squat volume, and then back squat complex for volume. And I feel just as good, if not better today, as I would on the last program for any sort of deload week. If not better. I feel better. That's awesome. That means I'm really utilizing my body to the best extent that I can muster. That's the whole fucking goal, man. It's giving yourself the program that makes you the best you that you want to be in that moment. Throw away whatever you think you should be doing. Throw away the fucking standard if you got no idea what to do next. Jump into what gets you passionate. Because everybody's like, oh, you got a meet coming up in August. First meet of my life. What are you going to do for your program to get ready for that? I've never snatched or clean and jerked on the same day in my life unless it was just a completely out there, not on a program type of day. And this is the first program I've written in a while, in a couple years, that I am this passionate before, because I have no idea what my peak is going to be. And because I have no idea where my limiters are, I can push beyond them without question. Without question. That's what gets me the most fucking excited, man. So for the rest of the program, I'll give you a quick synopsis before I'll explain it on the other days. But like today, tomorrow's going to be more clean and jerk and bench press focused to even out where my effort's being put in. So it'll be a clean and jerk complex, so I don't go too heavy on that. I'm going to be burnt out in my CNS from today, so it'll be good to do just one single complex on clean and jerk rather than a bunch of volume that I'm not ready for. Then I'll do a bunch of volume on front squat, because oppositely, I want to accessorize the clean and jerk through that front squat work without any worry about what weight I go to. Even if I have a heavy set at 255 and the max I hit is 285, perfect. That is completely fine as long as it feels hard enough to where I need to put in the working sets at that percentage rate. And if I feel really good, we'll go to 275 and somehow peak around 305 for a set of 6. That'd be nuts, but I don't think it's going to happen. But one way or another, it doesn't matter what I think, because what I know is that it's going to get me excited every single time working with a program that I have no idea what the standard is. That's what gets me excited, man. The variability behind it. The third day of the first 3 is going to be a power snatch complex and a clean and jerk power complex. No full squats that day. I want it to be easier when it comes to the lifts. It's going to be more impactful when it comes to my CNS. And now it's raining all of a sudden. Sorry, now you're getting ASMR, I guess. But that last third day of snatch and clean and jerk power complex movements will be the easiest day because I'll be CNS burnt out, but also make it to where when I take my rest day right after that, the day I come back will be the peak snatch and clean and jerk day of the week. So I'll have the conditioning from the power movements on that third day after getting all the conditioning out of the way in the beginning of that week. So I'll be fully rested, fully recovered, because I start hard and take it easier and easier as I get to the peak snatch and clean jerk day. That's where I'll go balls to the walls. This is triples week, so it'll be triple snatch, triple clean and jerk. No expectations, just see what works best when it comes to the effort that I put in throughout the week and the conditioning that I can put in on that day as well. No expectations. The only day I'll do big warm-up jumps will probably be on my peak singles week, so I can see where my true max actually is. And then the day after that, I'll take a break from Olympic lifting because I'll do my max days. I'll do my max day the day before that. So the very last day of the week of the block will be back squat and bench press, no variations for sets of 6 like I've been doing on everything else. A bit easier when it comes to the full body lifting, but a bit harder when it comes to locking the CNS back in so that I can get that good conditioning one way or another. And then I'll rest immediately after because I'm basically doing 2 peak days in a row. I'm not going to go as hard on back squat and bench press while I'm peaking Olympic lifting, of course, but still, I have to make up for that. So I'll rest after that and then start block 2. I'm excited. I know that was a lot. I threw a ton at you. If you want the program, by all means, hit me up on Instagram or something. I'll DM a picture to you. I don't care. I'm all about spreading the love, spreading the knowledge, spreading the information that I've got so that it can at least inspire you to make a change. Because fuck the standard, man. There is no standard. There's only your current capabilities and passions. That's what I live by. Physically, man, 9.7. Good day. First day of the deload week? Are you fucking kidding me? A 9.7? That's crazy work. I can't remember the last time I felt this good. The overhead squat was good. My overhead squats felt like shit for months. We're peaking already. Mentally, 9.85. Beautiful day. 9.9. Fuck it. What a good day. I can't imagine a better start to a new beginning of what I've been working on for so long. And this is going to be the perfect step that I take getting into my meet in August. I'm so excited. Thanks for sticking around. I know you have to a lot longer than normal, but I'm excited. I want to explain it all. I got so many thoughts and ideas and passions in my brain. So let me know if you want the program. I'll DM it to you. I do not care. Same handle on Instagram as it is on YouTube. One way or another, I will be back tomorrow for the complex clean and jerk, front squat volume, bench press variation day. So excited. Thanks for hearing me out. Let me know how the lives and listening going. Love hearing about it. And I love you guys. Thanks for sticking around. See you later. Bye.